Hi guys, Sean with Hunting with History. Today we're going to go over one of my favorite hunting rifles. It might surprise you based off the channel's name. It's not quite what you would think of when you think of a historic firearm. The rifle we're going over today is a Ruger 1022. Some of y'all might be going, well, Sean, a 22 and a Ruger 1022, not quite what you think, although it is styled after an M1A1 carbine from the paratroopers of World War II. But let's lock and load and we'll go over why this is actually a perfect rifle and cartridge to cover on this channel. So first and foremost, you might be going, well, Sean, like the 22, why is that the first rifle and caliber that we feature on this channel of Hunting with History? Well, it's actually an extremely old round. Some of y'all may know this, some of y'all may not, but it actually predates 30-06 by quite a bit. We first start seeing 22 in 1845. It's not the 22 we think of now. It was 22 BB cap. And so what they did was they would put the 22 caliber ball in the cap and they use it for like the shooting galleries, kind of like the laser gallery that we would do at Cabela's growing up, if some of y'all remember those days. And then it developed into 1857. You get the 22 rimfire, which would later become the 22 short after the 22 long came out in 1871. And then in about 1887, through Stephen Arms and Tool Company, then we get the 22 long rifle. You know, the beautiful thing about 22 is it's cheap. You can pick it up anywhere. And you can do a lot of really fun small game hunting, like squirrels, rabbits, just kind of a lot of the small game. I wouldn't recommend hardly, a lot of medium to big game. That being said, my first animal I ever shot was a turkey with a 22. So it's certainly a capable round. You just have to be sure you know your distance, know your rifle. I mean, obviously all that shot placement is key. If you're hunting with the smaller stuff, shot placement's key. So why did I choose 22 and why did I choose the Ruger 1022? Well, simple. I bought this for a hunting trip that I was going on in Missouri, and Missouri only allows for squirrels black powder or rimfire. So this is a perfect rimfire. I've been wanting to get a 22 for a while. I keep telling myself I'm going to get a 22, and then I just kept buying other large caliber surplus rifles. So the 22 never really panned out. But I finally pulled the trigger. I got just a standard 1022. I think I paid like $330 for it, and I've been loving it. Beautiful things about 22, like I already mentioned, cost effective. I can go get a ton of ammo for not a whole lot of money. I can shoot it all day. There's not really any recoil. And then, why did I set it up the way I set it up? As a kind of an ode to the M1 carbine and the M1A1 carbine, to be more specific. Well, that's pretty easy. I'm a big World War II nerd. A lot of this is from Sarco, but I set this one up like this too because I'm a big fan of my M1 Grands, and so I wanted something a little more affordable than M1 Grands to get used to the peep sights again. I haven't shot peeps in forever, so what better way to do it than with the 22? A little back history on the actual M1A1 carbines and the M1 carbines in general. Actually, the most produced weapon of World War II. The M1 carbine as a whole is. The M1A1 was a little more rare. There was about 140,000 units produced, and they were originally only issued to the 82nd and 101st Airborne, but later on in the war we see them getting introduced to all the other airborne units. So when we're going over this and why I'm doing it this way, just keep in mind there's plenty of other ways you can customize your 1022, and they're standard carbine stocks if you don't like the idea of the paratrooper, because it's certainly a little weird. There's not much to really get a good cheek wrist with, but we'll get into the parts and I'll tell you all how I'm thinking of it so far. All right guys, so now we're gonna go over the parts, what I'm liking, what maybe could be a little better, and just overall thoughts and opinions on it. I'm really liking the build so far. When I was first putting it together, it was a little hard to get into the stock. The fitment is very tight, so I had to kind of sit there and put it in, work it out, karate chop it in, and it went in. I haven't had any issues with it coming out. It fits really nice. My main gripes with the stock are pretty minute for the most part. I do wish that the paratrooper came with the upper handguard that covers this. I do believe the fixed stock version from EAB Co. does cover that. You just have to knock out that front sight, which I would have been willing to do. The grip is a little chunky. compared to like some pictures of actual M1A1s. It is a little thick. And so at first you're like, well, I don't know if I like that. I will say it's more of a cosmetic gripe than anything. Once I've started shooting with it, the thickness didn't really bother me, but I don't have smaller hands. I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but so keep that in mind. I'm like 6'1", average size hands for a 6'1" person. So keep that in mind. If really fat grips bother you, then this may not be the right one for you. And then the only other gripes I have with the stock is sometimes the screw here comes a little loose to where this wiggles. And then an oiler that I purchased, which I mean, could have been my oiler because I got the sling and the oiler off Amazon, but the oiler doesn't fit in here. It doesn't stay steady. Not the end of the world. Overall, super comfortable stock. Really love the way it fits nice and tight to where I don't have a wiggly action, to where not accuracy issues from that. But yeah, don't really have enough good things to say about it. I love this thing. When I was hunting in Missouri with gloves, my pinky tended to kind of sit out here because it is a little cramped. Again, these are all minor gripes. I wouldn't change much on this rifle, if anything, from the setup I have. So the stock is from Sarco. The mag extension of the sights I ended up getting from EAB Co. just because Sarco didn't have them in stock. You can get everything from EAB Co. with the fixed stock carbine in a package. That way you only have to buy everything once. The mag, super easy. You just take your 10-round Ruger magazine, and I just got a 2-part epoxy. It glues in the bottom. So then the sights. The sights are really the last thing on the build. I did have one screw try to get stripped from the Ruger factory up here. Just screw in right there, and you got your peep sight on. Front sight was much like the stock, very tight fit. I actually ended up having to kind of get a hammer and carefully knock it on, and it has not moved. So the sights have proved to be pretty accurate when they do stay where they're supposed to. I will say there's been a couple times where I've put this in the back seat of the truck, not in a case. Stupid, I know. The rear sight has moved. Because it's really easy, it's just a slider. It's a 5-position. I believe everything's kind of by 25 because I have shot this out to 100 and I just zoomed it back all the way. And usually at about 50, it's at the middle setting for me. But yeah, all in all, I don't really have too many negative things to say about it. It's just more nitpicky. I'll put links down in the description for all the parts I used. If y'all want to set up a rifle, if y'all have any questions, you know, shoot it down in the comments, or you know, go over to my Instagram. You can DM me and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Stay tuned for what we have coming up. I know this one wasn't quite as much hunting, but we've got some cool stuff coming up. So love to have y'all stick around and join us as we go hunting with history.